Germany's new Chancellor Olaf Scholz has used his first State of the Nation address to call on people to get vaccinated against coronavirus. With Germany struggling to bring a fourth wave under control, Scholz said immunizations were the only way out of the pandemic and promised there would be no red lines for his government in tackling the crisis.
It's my job to manage the necessary tasks. I'm responsible for that, and it is my top priority. And that is why I would like to repeat my urgent request to all of you, to the citizens. Please help us to accomplish this task. Help us to prevent avoidable suffering. Get vaccinated. Protect your life and the lives of others.
DW Chief Political Editor Michaela Küffner is in the German Parliament, the Bundestag. She's been following that State of the Nation address. Michaela, we just heard Olaf Scholz there appealing to Germans to get vaccinated. He spoke a lot about the pandemic. What other measures has he proposed to find a way out?
Well, first of all, he's called on people to simply get vaccinated, and there's already a legal process underway to mandate people who work in hospitals, in care homes, to get vaccinated. There's also an intense debate over a general mandate to get vaccinated, a duty to get vaccinated or else face fines. But what he tried here is to really appeal to Germans, because he very well knows that he already is right in the middle of his fresh government's baptism of fire over the fourth wave of the COVID pandemic, with his new health minister, Karl Lauterbach, himself a doctor, having just spread the word that there wasn't enough vaccine, particularly for the early days of 2022, which is a bit of a shock both to the government but also to the public, who believed that all they need to do is just get vaccinated, and that if they decide to get vaccinated, there would be enough vaccine there. So that already is a very deep crisis his government is facing, with Olaf Scholz vowing to do all it takes to get people's lives back.
Well, Scholz explicitly addressed the growing protests against coronavirus measures here in the country. Let's take a listen to what he had to say.
We will oppose this tiny minority of haters who attack us all with torchlit marches, violence and death threats. With all the means of our democratic constitutional state, our democracy is a robust democracy.
Michaela, does this signal a more hardline approach towards anti-vaxxers?
Absolutely. This is a change of gear. Clearly, this signals that the days where the government, regional governments, tried to integrate those dissenting voices would be over. He said that there simply was not a split in German society, that this was a very small minority of people who take an extreme approach on this, and that the state would act against those who try and intimidate politicians. We've just seen death threats against, and actually the police moving into doing some searches this morning because of a death threat against the state premier of Saxony, Kretschmer there. So it's an end to the patience by the government. This is a gradual shift towards less understanding for those who refuse to accept facts.
Now, it took the Chancellor more than an hour to get to issues of foreign policy, but what stood out to you there with what he had to say?
Yes, clearly timing was an issue. It's a lot longer than any of us anticipated or were told in advance. He pressed all the standard buttons of an incoming government, stressing the transatlantic relationship. He quite clearly stated that Germany's national aim was to have a united Europe, a strong Europe. He also said that Germany and the EU would have to deal with the China that they see, and that meant not closing their eyes towards human rights abuses, and not mentioning by name the Uyghur minority who are in camps there. But he didn't say what the clear action would be. On Russia, he was the most clear cut. There he said that any infringement on borders in Europe would have a cost, a very high cost indeed. What that will be, he will have to debate with EU partners in the upcoming EU summit.
Finally, Michaela, we're running out of time, but this is the first time in 16 years that a Chancellor's address came from somebody other than Angela Merkel. Did it feel like a fresh start in German politics?
Yes, it's an announcement of a massive transformation. It's the promise that all will end well for every individual here in Germany. It's a very tall order, with Chancellor Scholz, who was the Vice-Chancellor to Angela Merkel, thanking her particularly for the cooperation and peaceful handover of power.
All right, DW Chief Political Editor Michaela Küffner speaking to us from the German Parliament. Thank you very much for your time.